All right, ready?
All right, well,
Is that the intro?
I don't know. It might be.
That's a good one.
Yeah. All right, well, who's opening this? I think it's you, right?
Me.
All right. Go
All
off, dude.
right. Wow. Hello,
Hello.
everybody. Welcome back to the 63 episode
Yo.
of the Art of Awesomeness podcast, season 3, going on season 3, episode 63. And special day as December 19th, getting closer to Christmas, 6 days away.
Almost there.
And yeah, a lot of special stuff, but we did something pretty special, and I can't wait to tell you guys about it.
Wow.
First,
Now I know I opened
National Hard Candy Day.
Picture I've ever seen. Yo. Okay.
Happy National Hard Candy Day.
Yeah.
Peppermint.
Yeah.
What else? What else? What's some other hard candy? Caramel.
Sure. M&M's.
Lollipop.
Do M&M's count?
Nah.
Like hard
when
soft?
I think of sucky candy, like candy I can suck on.
Like Jolly Ranchers?
Jolly Ranchers is a good one. Those kinds of candies, indulge in those candies because it's hard. If you want hard candy,
Yeah.
then you need to eat that hard candy.
All right.
Next is National Oatmeal Muffin Day.
Nice.
Happy National Oatmeal Muffin Day, everybody.
Enjoy your oatmeal muffins.
Yeah, oatmeal muffins. I've never had an oatmeal muffin before. Adrian, have you had an oatmeal muffin?
I have not. No. Sorry.
That's cool.
And
Well-
of course, happy
3 minutes.
happy birthday to my mom. It's my mom's birthday, so shout out to you, Mom. Happy birthday. It's today because it's the 19th when this podcast
Right.
episode comes out.
Right, just check.
Yeah.
Happy
Okay.
birthday, Kiswani. You're the best. I don't want you to hear me. I'm in the next room, but I really appreciate everything you do, taking me home from school and being that second mother. When I wasn't even looking, you were there, and it's the biggest blessing ever. So,
Wow.
happy birthday, Merry Christmas.
You actually said that better than I did.
We
It's okay, she doesn't watch it anyways.
Spider-Man.
This episode is exciting, guys,
We
because
saw Spider-Man.
we saw Spider-Man. I'm gonna bleep that out. Basically, I'm gonna put a thing at the beginning of this video, and I'm gonna say it now because Christian messed up already. I should have told him beforehand,
say
so
it.
that's not on you.
No. I didn't say anything.
Okay, I'm gonna bleep it out anyways.
There are spoilers.
Basically, this is gonna be a spoiler-filled episode. This is not spoiler-free.
Right. Free spoilers.
And this isn't really like a review. Like, how you see like spoil reviews or
Yeah.
spoil free. This isn't a review. This is just us talking about it.
Yes.
So we're probably going to
Oh
talk
my
about a few
gosh.
aspects, but this is not a
Adrian.
movie review.
Adrian.
But spoilers ahead.
Adrian.
Tobey Maguire.
Andrew
It's a-
Garfield. They were in it. Andrew Maguire.
Yeah.
Andrew
Gar.
Garfield. Tobey
Yeah.
Maguire was in it. Daredevil. Netflix.
Yeah.
Charlie Cox was in it. Oh my gosh. William Dafoe. Green Goblin. You got Electro. All these people. Sandman.
Yeah, Doc Ock.
I had a question though. First off,
Sure thing.
oh my gosh, Adrian, that was amazing.
Great movie, dude.
I loved the movie.
It was a great movie.
I can talk about that for maybe an hour or so.
That's great because it's how long that
And
podcast is.
First off, I have a question.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
first
Great
off, I
question.
mean, if you guys haven't seen the movie already,
Please go check it out.
It's
if you have not
amazing.
seen it, it's quite an experience. I would say. It's
Yes.
pretty great.
Yeah, it is. It's wild. It's so, wow. It taught me a few things about spoilers and paying attention to leaks.
Yeah.
But that was a great movie. I think I had a question though. Should we talk about questions? What should we talk about first?
Man, let's
what are your
just talk
thoughts
about
on it?
whatever.
Give me your thoughts first. What did you
Okay,
think
well, I
about
don't
the
want you
movie?
to forget your question. What was your question?
So,
Or do you want to ask that later? Can you remember it? Or
yeah,
okay, we'll see.
yeah, we're about to find out.
So yeah, I guess initial thoughts on the movie. I thought it was really good. I said this after I walked out the theater that it lived up to the hype.
Yes.
So
It was amazing.
and I was pretty hyped for this film. I went into it blind because I didn't watch any of the trailers.
I don't know why you don't watch the trailers, though.
I usually do, but I knew that they were taking their time with this film, and I knew that they were doing something. I knew that they were doing something special. So
right, but even trailers don't really spoil anything, kind of.
well, they kind of spoiled Doc Ock, Green Goblin.
It's not really a spoiler though, because that's what they want you to know who's in it, though.
Yeah, but I mean,
spoilers are like, we didn't want you to know this because it wasn't in the trailers, but here's who's in it and blah blah blah.
Yeah, but you know when you have that reaction in the trailer, like, oh my gosh, this person's in it. You can have that same reaction when you're in the theater.
That reaction. You just didn't want to know anything about this movie at all.
Yeah, I had already basically figured out based on what everyone was talking about that Doc Ock and Green Goblin were in the film, but I didn't know what they were going to look like. I didn't know how it was going to be portrayed.
I'm surprised you haven't seen. No one's talked about it or seen the trailer. Or
I just stayed the heck away from it, and luckily, YouTube didn't give me any of the trailers for it.
That's risky, man.
Yeah, I know.
But going on.
I mean, it was yeah, I mean, so that's how I went into it, right? I went into it more blind than most people when I saw it with you for the first time because I've seen it twice already.
Yes, yeah, you saw it. Yeah, you saw it last night or last night.
No, I saw it last night and last night. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, you saw it last night and last night.
No, I went yesterday.
No.
As of the time of recording this, I went yesterday.
No.
Okay. So anyway, basically,
no.
I went into it pretty blind, and so it's always exciting when you go into a film like that, especially a film that I walked out of going, this is good. I will say this. I think that this movie was the best out of the Home, I guess, trilogy that's now in place. Like, I would say that this is better than Homecoming and Far From Home. I would say that this film tops those two, which I don't know if that's controversial or not, but I'm pretty sure that's what I would say. I don't
think that's controversial.
Because I think like Homecoming is a fun film, Far From Home is a fun film, and what this movie did from like a character standpoint is it really like broke Peter Parker down to his most this whole movie was like, it reminded me of Spider-Man 2, the original one with Tobey Maguire, where like everything is going wrong, nothing's going his way, and he has to just pay ultimate sacrifices for things. Like, that's what I feel like they were honing in on that, where it was like, okay, and again, spoilers, Aunt May's dead, like,
I forgot about that.
He's getting beaten left and right by all these different villains. He has to give up on at the ending, he has to give up his relationships with his best friend and his girlfriend and everyone else who knew him. Like, he's not only is he going through all these horrible things, but he also has to give up all the good things in his life and basically become a nobody and still save people at the end. And I think that's like what Spider-Man is like this guy who, like,
that's a great explanation.
Nothing goes his way, but he still does what's right, no matter what.
That's right. You know what? That's the thing when they said, oh man,
it's a good movie, man. I hope that the people watching this have seen it, because if you haven't seen it and you're watching this beforehand, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's just dive right into it, because that reminds me. First off, favorite scenes.
Yes, I think that was your question, right?
Well, should I just ask my question first? Because I'm passionate about favorite scenes. I'll always remember that question.
Okay.
First questions. Electro's in it, right?
Yeah.
That Electro.
Yeah.
The spell is, I learned this, shout out to Taylor Wayne Hancock.
Say that name again.
Taylor Wayne Hancock.
Who the hell is that?
Everybody knows Taylor Wayne Hancock. Come on, man. He's the best. I love Taylor Wayne. He proposed a question that I thought was very interesting, and he does a lot of fun videos that help you appreciate different videos.
You posted about it,
yes.
didn't you? Okay.
And I was like, that's genius. I didn't even think about that. I didn't. But he does a lot of other stuff besides this movie. He was really, his explanation, his view of the movie really made me appreciate it. But
yeah, what was
he said, if all the spells of they brought all these villains of people that knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, which made sense, right? The spell works for Peter Parker, that the spell brought people from other universes who knew that Spider-Man was Peter Parker.
Yes.
But he said, but Electro, he never knew Peter Parker was Spider-Man, right?
That's right.
So I was like, out of that struck. I was like, what the heck? Yeah, because he never knew.
That's
right?
True.
I mean, the Lizard knew.
Because
Harry knew, but he died.
At the end of it, he because remember when he unmasked, he was like, oh, because it was like that joke, right? Oh, I thought you'd be black or something like that, right? Because he didn't know who he was.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
That makes total sense. That didn't cross my mind. Yeah.
But he was like, you know what? Just because that's like such a minor thing compared to how great this movie was, he was willing to forgive, and I'm more than willing to forgive. But I thought that was an interesting question. Like, that is interesting.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, man!
Yeah, like girls, we don't cry during Titanic. These are the movies where we cry. This is it.
Well, because
yeah,
obviously, Toby and Andrew, they are in it, and their entrance was something I wouldn't have expected. They did it so naturally. I had thoughts about how they would enter.
Yeah.
Like if he was about to die, you just see a web come in, and
like something super dramatic.
But
or something.
I love the way they did it because Ned, I don't know if he has magic just because of the ring, but basically there's a point right where they're trying to figure out where's Peter Parker? We can't find him.
Yeah.
Where is he? So
that was well
use
done.
the ring because we can't find him.
Yeah.
Right, we can't find Peter Parker, so let's just use the ring because you can use your magic, right, to find him. And he's just like Ned, being a newbie, kind of, but for a good reason.
Yeah.
And not being as skilled, he was like Peter Parker in his head said, "Find Peter Parker," and you just see first Andrew Garfield because he's Peter Parker, but he's there in his suit and his outline with his eyes,
like in the alleyway and stuff.
Yeah,
it was
he
so
looks
cool.
And he's like, "What?" And the door opens up, and he's like, "Oh, you want me to come?" He's like, "Yeah, hey, Peter." But then it's like, and then there's a whole scene, and then he tries again, and it's Toby, and they're like, but it's man, it's so cool to see how they're all so different, how they have different things to offer, like the banter between them.
I will say this, dude. Toby, especially Andrew Garfield, was really good in this film.
Yeah,
like Andrew Garfield, he was funny as heck, man.
Yeah,
really funny, but like in a heartfelt way.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, for sure. I know. Oh man, I can't even speak because that's. Oh man, that's part of my. I think we both know what scene we're thinking of. That was like the best.
I know my. I honestly, I don't know what yours is, but I know what mine is. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that was one. Okay. Before we say what our favorite scenes.
Okay.
Just talk about his performance. It was Andrew? Good because Andrew, he was funny. Like when they first in the house.
Oh, he was just like, just hanging up there, or like, can you not like, do you have the tingle thing? He's like, I have the tingle thing, but not for bread,
And he's like, yeah, not for bread. I was like, oh, that was.
Or can you get that cobweb over there?
Yeah, and it was them because they couldn't wrap their heads around it right there, trying to figure out like what's happening.
Yeah.
And obviously to them in the universe, they're like, okay, that's weird, but to us, we see the movies and it's like,
yeah.
And I was like, oh, and then but Andrew, you're right. Andrew Garfield was, yeah, he was good.
Everyone did a really good job in this film, but if I have to say, like the one of the performances that I walked away going, he was good was Andrew. I would say he was really good in this.
He was good, especially the banter.
Yeah.
The banter and
like how he's like. And it would be me too. Like if I were Spider-Man and I found out there were other like Spider-Men from different, like I would be excited too. Like how do you do that with like no web shooters? So like all the questions they were asking themselves.
Yeah.
It felt legit. Like they were super. Obviously, there's a lot going on, so like they have to be preoccupied with like the main thing.
Yeah.
But on the side when they have downtime, it's like you would ask questions like. What's the biggest villain you fought? It's like, oh yeah, purple alien from space. He's like, I fought a black villain from space. Just stuff like that.
And just like, hey, what is alien? I want to find an alien. That's what the point where he was like kind of self-defeating himself, and
or he cracked Toby's back.
Yeah, and Toby. Oh my god, there's a lot of stuff with Toby.
We're Spider-Man fanboys, if you couldn't tell.
Gosh,
yeah,
dude, yeah, Andrew was great too, and but. I don't want to pop off just yet. I want you to. What else are you? Any thoughts about Andrew?
Yeah.
Let's break it down. Anything about Andrew? What else about Andrew that stuck out?
I would say Andrew, the way he interacted with people on set. Because I've obviously seen his Amazing Spider-Man films.
Mm-hmm.
And I obviously, like most people, they fell a bit flat for me, especially the second one.
Okay.
I think that there were a lot of good elements. Like I think that the suit looked really good, especially in the second film.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that a lot of the CGI was good. Like there were a lot of things in those films that I can appreciate, like pinpoint and say, oh, that was cool, this was done well. But as a whole, I would say they're definitely low on the list of my favorite Spider-Man films. Like they're probably near the bottom.
Yeah.
And I think it's a common criticism with his movies that he felt like too cool to be Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man's supposed to be like this like nerd at school who everyone picks on.
Yeah.
But in that film, he's like a skateboarder guy who's super cool, you know, and stuff like that. So
it's cool how they tied that in with the, with the multiverse
Yeah.
kind of thing, and how it's really cool. Well done how they played that with the merger and everyone.
Yeah.
But that just shows, I mean, that kind of gives him a bit more leeway, because in this idea of the multiverse, there's different variations of variations of people. Peter Parker could be, I mean, the same element is they're all kind of Peter Parker, but one, it can be minor things like the web fluid, how they shoot the web fluid, who died, or even how they act. Like Peter Parker's like, and we know him from early comics, like he was, like this nerd kind of kid. They kind of brought that back with Tom Holland. They kind of proposed that in with Tobey Maguire, but that just shows like there's different variations of him, right? He could be a skateboarder too. He was still an intelligent in the movies, but he was a bit more like cool and relaxed. Like he was like a skateboarder. That I thought that was cool how they tied that up. But yeah. Oh man.
I feel like there's just so much. Like I'm trying to think about what to say, but that movie, there's a lot going on in it. Like, because we haven't even talked about Doctor Strange yet. Like there's just so many things that just
Oh man. We should have broken this up. I want to say so much
I kind of wish we
though, because I know when I start talking about something, I won't be able to stop.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
this next 3 minutes.
We're just waiting, like,
Dude,
yeah, man.
I will say I really admire Andrew Garfield, because he's been interviewed by so many people,
and he did not
crack Tom. Bro, I'm not saying Tom said, oh, blah, 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 blah.
Okay, well, it's not even for this film. Tom has a bit of a...
But it's forgivable, I guess, but compared to Tom...
Okay, well, here's the thing, because obviously you can keep your mouth shut because Andrew proved it, Tom just can't help... I mean, I'm not... Right. I love Tom Holland. He's cool.
Yeah, he's cool. But, I'm making fun. I'm sorry. Tom, if you're seeing this, I love you, man. Please don't be mad at me. I hope you can be friends.
We love your film.
I'm sorry.
But
I want to be friends with you.
I will say this, like... Andrew, he did not crack the entire
Jimmy
time.
Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon.
And they were like, like there's proof. We've seen videos and footage. He's like, it's video edited. It's Photoshop.
I did not get the call. It's Photoshop. I've never seen that in my life.
He doesn't talk like that.
I've never seen that in my life, mate.
Andrew Garfield doesn't talk like that.
Oh, I've never seen that. I was so... His acting when he wasn't acting was amazing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, and seeing all their different suits like in one film was kind of like it was satisfying. I'm glad they didn't do many design changes, and the design changes that they did make,
there were a few different
were good. Like the Goblin when he broke his mask and then he just got the hood like in the comics.
That's true.
That was a cool thing. I liked it. I thought it was well done. But
there are a few different things in there.
Yeah. Just everything. Yeah, but especially I would say one of the highlights of the film was definitely Andrew. Not to say Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland did a bad job, because I think everyone kind of brought their A game.
Right.
I don't know. I think it was just kind of special about... There was something special about having Andrew Garfield in a film that was like, did him some justice, because it was like everyone knew that his films were the ones that did kind of the worst. Yeah. And so I think because Tobey's films didn't do bad, Tom Holland's films have been doing great. Andrew's really the only one who got the short end of the stick,
Right. I think it's hard too, because Tobey was like the original and Tom was like the new one that was brought into like the MCU.
Marvel, which was already doing good. So he was kind of
like the middle.
Yeah. He was like the transition period where people were trying to see like, can we still do it? And then it was like kind of fell off. And so I think the fact that they brought him back in this film and he was well written, well acted, they gave him plenty of screen time and gave him like emotional scenes. Like I felt like they did him justice, and so I was happy about that. But we'll talk a little bit more once we get back from this intermission.
Quick concept, a quick recap of the movie. I got to go.
That's good. That's good. Hope I can find one.
So
Spider-Man.
One more thing before we exit off Andrew Garfield. Oh wait, right?
What's that?
I want to ask you what your favorite scene is.
Okay.
What is it? I just can't stop now.
I know.
What is it?
My favorite scene in the whole film, which there were plenty. I'm sure we'll talk about cool scenes, but the scene that hit me the most was the one where MJ was falling, like in is that yours too?
That was one of my
one
two.
of them. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
my favorite scene is when Andrew Garfield catches MJ and
Describe it to me.
redeems himself for not being able to save Gwen, which he actually talks about in this film. And there's a moment where, like, after he catches her, he just looks and he's like kind of almost amazed that he actually did it.
Yeah, yeah.
That I'm not gonna lie to you. I mean, Aunt May's death was one thing. I didn't get emotional.
Go ahead.
Obviously I felt sad and stuff like that, but it wasn't like it didn't get a visceral reaction from me. But when for some reason when he caught MJ and kind of like redeemed himself in that moment, for something he wasn't able to do in his world, I kind of felt that and was like, oh, that's like that had an impact on me where I was like, okay, I felt that somewhere, where it meant something. And I was kind of like, I'm not going to watch, if I ever watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2 again, I'm not going to watch that Gwen Stacy death scene the same, there's just something like it affects stuff,
It's
and I just thought like, and it's also like a very Spider-Man thing to do. Like it's, of course you're going to try and save her, but the fact that, he tried to save one in his world and he couldn't, and then he's given that same opportunity again, he's able to this time. It just kind of like, for me, it did justice to the character, that's kind of, but that by far, that was my favorite scene in the whole film, which I know maybe not most people's, but that was mine.
Dude, you don't even have to be apologetic at this point. Like, there's so many scenes that
I know. Yeah, but that one I would say hit the hardest for me,
Great. That was, oh man.
But there's plenty. I mean, there's plenty of favorite moments, but up there is that.
Right.
That's the top.
That's your most favorite.
That's my most favorite.
Your most favorite. That's true because, well, I mean, I can't say that. It is a good one. Oh man, because at first, I knew there's a lot of people that teased, oh, he's gonna get his redeeming moment, but we'll see. And then I just knew, like right then, there was a few things happening. I thought for sure one of these things too, Tom would, or MJ would die.
Yeah, that was the other option.
MJ, but then I saw Aunt May. We know that she died by then, and I think it's too much to have two. Well,
what I thought would have been weird is that, because especially that way, if MJ would have died, that's one thing. But the moment I saw her to start falling in slow motion, it's almost like shot for shot other one. So the moment I saw that, I was like, I know what they're doing here. And the moment I saw, Tom jump for her, I was like, no, it's not Tom. Andrew's gonna get her. Like I already knew.
You already knew.
I knew.
You already knew. Yeah. Well, but then
so,
as he's falling, right? I thought he's gonna catch him or he's not gonna die. But then obviously, I don't know. I think like Green Goblin like hits him or something, knocks him off course, and then we see our hero jump and save. There were a lot of funny TikToks where it was like, if I was falling off a building. And I see Andrew Garfield coming to save me, and they start crying because they know he's not going to.
Oh, dang.
It's like, oh, man. It was funny. It's like, if I'm falling off, like,
that sucks,
State,
dude.
And Andrew Garfield, he's like, I'm coming to save you. And they're like, oh, no.
Was that happening?
Yeah, it was funny.
Yeah, but I think that had, I mean, that I'm not going to lie. There were other moments in the film that impacted me where I felt like, internally like, oh, I felt, but that one for me was the one that I think in the theater, that's the one that made me just go like, yes, just kind of super happy because I knew what that kind of meant for the character. And I was at that point, you care for all of them, especially at the climax of the film, it's high stakes for everybody. And obviously MJ at that point, I think they did a really good job with her character, by the way. Yeah, and Zendaya, so the fact that they're putting that character in a situation where she's gonna die, Tom can't save her, and so he's able to. It's like they didn't comp out at the moment, because it could have been anyone who saved her. Doctor Strange could have showed up, Toby could have, but the fact that they had her saved by, like, they made that scene for Andrew Garfield. I feel like that was a very purposeful scene. That wasn't just kind of like, hey, it would be cool. It's just like that was a very purposeful thing.
That's true.
And I felt like a lot can be said about this film, that it was like a love letter to all the Spider-Mans.
Right.
Like,
that's what Taylor said too.
Really? Me and Taylor should be friends. What's up?
You guys should be friends. Yeah.
Yeah. But what was your favorite scene though? What was your favorite moment?
Well, transitioning. I'm gonna try to transition. That scene was meant for Andrew.
Yeah.
But what other scenes were meant for some other Spider-Man? Obviously, the whole thing was meant for Tom.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
This Far From Home, Homecoming, that's Tom.
Yeah.
Right, but this one specifically.
He's the one on the cover,
Let's focus onto the other one. Toby, dude. It's funny, man. He's the oldest one. There were jokes when about his back, it was hurting. Yeah. Dressed him like a youth pastor.
Yeah.
And he jokes around about how you just, walk around and keep it like a secret. It's like, yeah, that's the point of being Spider-Man, keeping a secret. So it's funny how they all have they're all different but similar. Yeah. There's the same, but like with small variations that make them their own. It's like a Tootsie Pop. But you get just like a bag of those. Oh, yeah. They're all Tootsie Pops, right? Essentially, they're Tootsie Pops, but they're different, like flavors. They got different stuff about them. But essentially, they're the same. Kind of, you know what core, I mean? Yeah. Yeah. But, oh, man. Toby
Maguire is just a boss, dude.
My ultimate favorite scene. Oh, bro. Tom going ham on Goblin at the end, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
He wants to kill this man.
He goes visceral, dude.
He wants to go, and then you flash back to the first Spider-Man movie where he's essentially doing the same thing, right?
Killing his Uncle Ben's supposed killer, right?
Right. Yes. Yeah. And you see him. He's going, and at the same time we're getting flashbacks, and you see as he's trying to kill Green Goblin for killing Aunt May. You see Andrew and Toby up.
I like how he struggles to pick up the glider too, and he's about to.
Yeah. And you see Toby and Andrew ahead, and they're just watching below. They're watching because they've gone through that, right? Yeah. They've seen the rage. They felt that, and they told him beforehand too. I know I've gone through what you've gone through, and they're just watching.
That must be weird to see another version of yourself go through something that you've already kind of gone through.
Right.
That's such a meta thing,
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I guess the whole film's like that, yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing.
That scene especially.
Then they see him go through, and they see the concern in their eyes as he's going, and they know they're trying to kill. They know he's trying to kill them because they wanted to do the same thing in their universe. Yeah. And so right before, he's on his knees, and Tom just grabs the glider, and he's about to kill him, but then Toby steps in and blocks him from killing Green Goblin, and he doesn't say anything. He just looks in his eyes. Yeah. He's just like. Nah. But then Tom's struggling as he starts to dim down from that rage, and he drops it afterwards because, oh man, because he knows, bro. Yeah. Toby knows. He's been
around the block, dude.
He's been through that, and he knows that it goes nowhere, and so we really see his growth as a character from his universe, and the opportunity to kind of be the person that Uncle Ben kind of wanted him to be, the person that he was kind of meant to be, and we get to see that now.
Yeah, he's not Bully Maguire anymore.
Yeah. That would have been cool if they did a nod to that.
What if they had a moment where he just brings the hair down in his face? You know, he's just I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. In the sky, they're just he becomes the guy that he wants. We see that growth, and it's cool how we don't forget how we do see a lot of growth from these characters in this movie, but at the same time, it's especially we didn't forget about these people from these other movies, and we want to show you how they've grown too. Yeah, and that's kind of what I mean when I say a love letter. Every single character was given justice, I think, in the film.
Yeah, they all got their own moments that Tom needed. And that's the thing. Oh, I thought about this last night. But how I think it's different than Endgame. How this kind of it hits different than Endgame because with Tony Stark, what I really like about Far From Wait,
I've been getting it mixed up too.
No Way Home is that Tony Stark was kind of like this father figure to Peter Parker. Right. That was for him, and when he went through that death, a lot of the movies, mostly Homecoming or Endgame, or even a little, maybe not so much Civil War, but Far From Home, those movies were kind of, or not Far From Home, when Tony Stark was still alive, it was kind of working based off of Tony Stark and engaging with the Avengers. But this is the first time with Aunt May dying and all this stuff where we see him kind of not completely forget about Iron Man, but he starts to develop his own character story, like we see.
Yeah.
Because I think that gave him a lot of good jumping off points to introduce him into the timeline, right? But at some point, all these characters in the Marvel universe, villains and anti-villains or heroes, they have their own stories, right? They have their own stories, even though they may interact with each other. At the end of the day, they all start with having their own origin. And this is such a great movie because it really gives you like the catalyst for okay, this is the start where we kind of, and we see that you said that too at the end where he forgets, he makes the choices to become his
like an ultimate sacrifice,
right? Yeah, and then we see how he just flies solo in the with like no team now.
In an apartment. You know what I think is funny is that Tom Holland ends the film basically where the other Peter Parkers were at the beginning of their films. You know, like guys who had dead, aunt or uncle, living in an apartment, like a small apartment where they got to pay rent to like probably like these mean people or whatever. You know, no real social interactions, very little, I guess, friend. Like the way I'm just doing a bad job of explaining it, but basically like Tobey Maguire films, right? He has relationships, right, with MJ and Harry and stuff like that. But when he becomes Spider-Man, he basically has to forsake all of those relationships. You know, obviously MJ like goes with this other astronaut guy or something like that. Remember, Harry is like super upset about him because he's photographed Spider-Man and he hates Spider-Man because he killed his dad or whatever. Like all of his relationships with people are just awful. And Tom Holland, his relationships with people are awful, but they're non-existent now.
Right.
So he basically he has to build a new relationship with a best friend. He has to build a new relationship with his, and I can't imagine that having a girlfriend for I don't know how long exactly, but then her forgetting all about you and then having to redo that whole process and doing that on top of the prospect of you having no real living family members anymore, like guiding figures. Happy doesn't know who he is. Yeah. There's no Tony Stark. There's no Aunt May. True. The Avengers don't know who he is. So no one can...
So he has to restart.
Exactly. But here's the thing. No one can help him with the burden that's Spider-Man anymore. Because before people knew... Some people knew that he was Spider-Man, right? Like before the whole world knew.
Oh, yeah.
Like there was a portion where like he said, my life was perfect when all the people who I wanted to know I was Spider-Man knew. Right. That was when it was perfect.
Right. Not saying that can't happen though. Again,
right. I'm not saying that can't happen either. But what I'm saying is that he's starting at that point where it's like he's really gonna have to develop as a hero now. And I think that what a lot of people were saying is that this felt like the first Spider-Man film instead of like a Spider-Boy or Spider-Teen film. It felt like a Spider-Man film where he actually had to like carry some weight and sacrifice some things, and he actually had to pay heavy prices for his consequences to his actions. Right, like.
Well, that's the thing to imagine, because it wasn't even that they didn't know who Spider-Man was, but Ned, they didn't even know who he was at all.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. That's like the icing on the cake. Like Ned didn't even know. Zendaya, what's her name? MJ. Yeah. That's the actress' name, but they didn't even, not that they didn't know he was Spider-Man.
Zendaya or something.
Yeah, Zendaya. But not that, like they weren't like, hey, like we're just not going to say that, they don't know he's Spider-Man, but we don't even know him at all, right? Because they're
because it's not just, hey, make the whole world forget I'm Spider-Man. Make the whole world forget Peter Parker, In
general. So like, that's the thing, too. I mean, it's, again, not saying it's impossible, because that's also a great jump. They tease Miles Morales in it. Yeah. And I would love to see him get his own thing.
I would, too.
Or his own, I think his own standalone film would be cool, and then tying that in. So. But, I mean, it's not impossible, because then you kind of get to rebuild all that. I mean... Yeah. It'll be different, but... And they
even incorporated stuff from, like, the Spider-Man PS4 game.
Oh, they did?
Like, with Feast and stuff like that, the
Feast
shelter
and
home.
The logo and everything.
Yeah. So I thought that... Because they just tied everything. They tied in stuff with the game. They tied in stuff with movies that came out, like, the year I was born, Yeah. And it's just kind of weird to... Because it almost has that same weight as, like, Avengers, Infinity War, and Endgame, where it is technically this culmination. It's not the same type of culmination of like Marvel making a bunch of movies, but it is still a culmination of films technically when you're getting all these characters together from all these different films. I mean, it really is like not an Avengers team up, but it's a really interesting team up where there was like a clear build up that I think no one was really expecting, because I never expected to see Doc Ock again ever on screen. Like I never thought I would see that ever.
It's really cool, and then it's really cool too that they really got them on it.
Yeah,
I think because they really recognize that. I guess actors can react differently to stuff like that, but I think they recognize what they were nurturing, and they saw it was more than just a role they were playing, but this is giving life to something that meant a lot of people, regardless if they were a good guy or a bad guy, because they contributed to the story that meant something differently to different people. And I think they saw it's really cool when they can realize that. Even I think we were talking about how Andrew Garfield, or maybe I don't want to put him on the spot, but there are some people that said they probably weren't too enthused about coming back to the role, or maybe I'm just thinking about coming back like in the future or something. But yeah, even if this was like a one hit thing, I think it's really big of them to see past any potential, blurs of emotion when it comes to not wanting to do it just for the purpose of the fans. I think that's heartwarming. It's not just about like the actors, but it's about the representation.
It's weird. It's like a heartbreaking film in many ways, but it's also a heartwarming film.
Yeah,
especially because the end is like definition bittersweet. Like that's what the ending is.
It's different just how it starts too.
Way different, yeah.
And how it ends, like this guy had it, and if you look back, he's like, okay, because it ends off with him. But then again, you think, well, at first you probably think, I probably think like, oh, like if he just didn't make that wish. But then again, if he did make that wish, there's like different things that are like outweighs. If he didn't make the wish,
it built his character a lot, though. Which is like that's kind of invaluable if your character's built. So yeah, overall, I would say that it was not only was it a great film, but I would put it under the category of like experiences. Like it was cool to experience it in the theater, kind of the same way as Infinity War. Yeah. When that came out.
The funny thing is, I'm like 90% sure I can list a few people that haven't even seen the original series, and it sucks because when they see Toby, I'm most likely they probably saw the one with Andrew. Yeah. But even so, like I know there are people for sure with Toby that probably are like, "Oh, who's that? Oh, that's a new character."
Well, there was a woman sitting next to me with her child. She was an older lady. She was a mom, and I could tell that she had kind of grown up on those older Toby films.
Oh yeah, so she watched them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, because whenever Toby came on, she was like, "Yeah, that's my boy." Like kind of like you can tell where people kind of entered the Spider-Man. Yeah. Kind of, I don't know, I guess, web. Yeah. Oh no, but I'm sorry. You guys can stop watching this podcast now if you want. I know that, but pun intended. It was just cool to see a bunch of people. But one thing I will say before this, has to cut or whatever, but Daredevil was also cool to see, even though I've never seen the series. Yes. Just like seeing, like you hit me hard when he came out. You're like, dude,
because I watched the show. I love the show.
I know, and so just to be able to see like your reaction and to kind of vicariously get excited, like kind of through you to see your reaction to that, I was like, oh, okay, like I can see where they're going with this. But yeah, that was a cool scene for sure. Yeah, but yeah, that was. I don't know. I guess where would you rank it in? I guess this is a good question. Where would you rank it in the Spider-Man films, if you could vaguely?
Ooh, top.
Yeah.
Oh, like rank? I think it's the best one.
Yeah, I would say for sure out of the Tom Holland trilogy, it's the best.
Oh, you mean like overall, like out of? I would still say it's the best.
Yeah, I'm kind of tempted to say that too.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want. Then.
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 is still pretty high up there for me, but I would say that this one's probably one of the best Spider-Man
Toby
films. Yeah.
Everyone says that. A lot of people. Yours is very similar with everyone. I forgot. Honestly, I haven't watched that one in so long.
Well, I kind of grew up with that one too, so it has like a nostalgia factor for me. Right. So I will admit that. That's but true. Just this film, I just think it's kind of crazy to think that in a film where you have like a wizard, 3 Spider-Men, like a talking lizard, and all this stuff, and like dimensions and all that you could make a really grounded film. Like it somehow, like as crazy and as out of the world as it felt, it also felt very, very grounded and realistic somehow.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I don't really know how to explain that, but I don't know.
No,
It just
yeah, I
felt
get
like
it.
like they paid a lot of attention to Tom Holland's character and like his point of view of things. Like early on in the film, you get to hear his point of view when he's talking on the phone, like MJ, when like Happy's sleeping behind him.
Yeah.
Like you're actually able to hear his thoughts and stuff about like what he thinks about everything going on. And I think that's cool. Like where it's not just like these things are happening to Spider-Man. Like they're happening to Spider-Man, and it's like, what does he think about it? How is he reacting to it? How are his friends reacting to it? And like they didn't shy away from that. Like they actually spent time to focus. Okay, like how is this affecting his relationship with his best friend and girlfriend? It's like, well, his girlfriend's super supportive, you know, like throughout the whole film. It's like awesome, right?
Yeah.
You know, Ned is just Ned, but you know, it's
Yeah,
just
Ned uses magic, I guess.
yeah, he has a mom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Where's his grandma? It's his grandma, right?
Yeah, his grandma.
Yeah,
His
okay.
grandma and his mom. I don't know. Ned, I think it's cool you use magic, but yeah, I mean, that's good for you, Ned. This movie wasn't really about you, but it's good that you were there.
Yeah.
I think
I know.
it's more about MJ, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Than Ned. I mean, it's cool that you use magic, Ned, but I think there's just too much going on for me to care about you.
Yeah, I know. That's how I felt. That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
Like I felt like whenever the camera would pan to Ned, I'm like, no, go to something else. You know?
Yeah,
Just
like I mean, it was cool when he did his
No,
little
I
ring
don't
thing, 'cause
mind.
Ned is the one that actually brought them here, so I mean,
Yeah.
grateful for you, Ned.
No, I'm super. I think that the scenes that he's in are funny, but sometimes maybe they overstay their welcome a little bit.
Yeah.
You know. But other than that, man, like to be honest with you, I really don't have any gripes about the film. Like you
No?
could say that there are like loopholes, maybe like that whole like
Electro
you know
thing.
electro
There's
thing,
always
but
gonna
like
be
I don't
that
really.
There's always gonna be
That didn't really, because that didn't affect the film, you know.
Dude.
Like when I was watching it, I wasn't thinking, oh, but Electro, they didn't really do that, you know. I'm not.
People that do biggest movie, you know, they do biggest movie mistakes of this movie.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be really hard, except for like small things that people really don't care about.
Yeah.
The day I see that biggest movie mistakes of Spider-Man, no
Or
way.
like Cinema Sins or something like that.
Cinema Sins.
Well, Cinema Sins just has a fun time with it. They always have a good time with it. But
Dude, that's interesting. You know, how it should have ended always does a good job with making me see something that I didn't see. Like, oh, they could have done it like that, huh?
Yeah, but they do it in like a satirical way, so it's kind of fun.
Yeah,
you
so it is kind of funny in that way too. But I'm interested if they will do something like that, because it's always funny.
Would you
a
like?
lot of cool stuff.
Would you change anything about the film, or would you? I mean, were there any things that maybe you wanted to see that you didn't?
No, I really, it was a huge bonus. I loved Nick Fajardo, if you're out there. Venom. They teased Venom at the end.
Oh yeah.
There's two post credits. It was like a trailer for the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, it was weird the way they did that post credit scene, because it was really a trailer. It wasn't like a Nick Fury like. So have you heard about the Avengers Initiative? You know, it was just a trailer. You know, just straight up.
It was a short trailer, but Venom was in it. I guess I really hope they bring him back, because he was like blipped back to wherever he was from. I guess. Oh man.
Well, I mean, because he might not be in it, but it's one of those situations where remember the goo was left.
That's true.
So maybe, maybe it might
Venom.
not be Tom Hardy. It might be some other dude. You know what I'm saying? Because he's gone. You know, he's not coming.
Flash Thompson. Remember?
That'd be so funny. What if Flash like? Dude, can we talk about Flash Thompson for like 30 seconds?
Man, where's he been, man? Flash.
Oh man,
I don't know what.
How did he write a book that fast?
I don't know, voice type.
Probably. That's probably what it is, right? It's just like his late night thoughts, like as he's.
Well, I mean, I don't really know. I mean, it's cool. They teased a lot, man. I mean, Venom.
Yeah.
I really hope they do.
I hope they do Venom justice. You know.
I mean, even so, who's the guy that played Venom?
I think I said Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy. I really like. Even so, I love him as Venom. He does a really good job. I like his style of Venom. They tease Miles. They tease a few other villains.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, man. I mean, there's really, as we've seen, we all thought Endgame was like the thing. There's nothing else gonna happen after that. Then they introduced multiverse. Like, okay, now nothing.
Because now it's like, you know how people used to say, "Oh, the Marvel Cinematic Universe." Now it's like the Marvel Cinematic Multiverse or something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Oh, that'd be funny. We gotta coin that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't change anything. Man, I was so well done. They gave me bonus stuff to think about. Jeez. next, like in the future, we're gonna be talking about come back to the next movie in the Spider-Man. Would you change anything?
No, I don't think so. I think that I was kind of confused at the end, and this isn't really a gripe because I know why they did what they did.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, when he's like, "Hey, can't you just make everyone forget that I'm Peter Parker?" When they first did the spell, he had the option to take some people out if you wanted to. He just kept interrupting time and time again. And that's what broke it. But if he had just walked up to Doctor Strange and be like, "Hey, I have an idea. Make it so that everyone, who knows I'm Peter Parker doesn't, except for just MJ and Ned or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he didn't say that.
That was probably very spontaneous, huh?
Maybe, but I feel like after everything he had been through, he probably would have remembered. Because isn't that what botched the spell in the first place? Was him adding people? I feel like it would have been easy for him to say, "Hey, just forget all these people except these two and these two. That's it." Mm-hmm. And then it's like, okay, boom. I feel like that could have happened. But I know why they did it, because obviously it was just to make him sacrifice and make that choice. Because at the end of the day, it wasn't even really what happened that's such a big deal. It's the fact that he actually made that choice himself. Because Doctor Strange is like, you don't have to, like, are you sure? I don't want to do that. But
makes me think. You remember how he was in the movies? How he was like going through those infinite realities.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
That makes me think, how far was it just Endgame that he was predicting the future for, or was it Spider-Man also? But that's like a lot of futures to think about.
That's true.
I think it's cool how they did Alfred Molina's, how his Doc Ock, how it showed his growth too. Right?
Yeah, it was nice to see him, because at the end of the second film he gets redeemed. You know? Yeah. Because he already kind of got redeemed at the end of the second film, because he decides to not listen to the arms, destroy his machine, and drown it, and drown himself at the same time. So he like sacrificed himself at the end of the second film. But of course, obviously, the inhibitor chip it was still going. He just had more willpower in that moment. So it made sense that he was still evil, kind of, when he met Tom Holland. But yeah, I really like that scene whenever he's like, "Wait, you're not Peter Parker." And like whenever I heard him, like, because he was talking to Tom, I was like, "Oh, there's another one. He's not talking about you, bro."
Dude, do you think...
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything, I don't think.
Do you think that when they first started filming everything, they teased the idea of like a multiverse and thought we can tie it in? Or was it like kind of like the last kind of thing, like, oh, like we're tying everything, it would be cool if we could just say it was multiverse and tie everyone in? Or do you think...
it was
I think
definitely
that's more
premeditated.
Oh, really? Since the very beginning of like Tobey Maguire and everything?
Oh, you mean like
that early?
No.
Right,
no.
I meant like that early, like when like
Marvel, like the MCU didn't even exist.
You're right. Yeah. Okay, but so, hey,
of course not.
Talking about doing things last minute, I think that was a great way to tie in with the merger as a multiverse, and make a movie about multiverses.
But you know what I think would be really cool, to be honest with you, is because now that they own all the rights and all this stuff, that means that technically everything that happened in Into the Spider-Verse.
Which one?
The animated one.
Oh, that's another thing I wanted to ask.
Can cross over now.
That's what I wanted to ask you. So do you think...
I think that'd be cool.
Do you think that like the animated shows or the movies like Spider-Verse, it's like, do you think it can cross into like the in-person kind of thing, or do you think it's like a representation? Because we've seen Peter Parker with the same backstory.
Well, I think the whole thing is that they just basically made an animated film to make it like comic booky. But I think if they ever tried to put it into the MCU, it would be real actors,
Right, that just voiced...
That are just like the same. Like, it's not like a different Miles Morales from the Into the Spider-Verse. It's just a in-person representation of him. Because they're not going to blend. Right. They're not going to like Looney Tunes it, where it's like they're blending.
That's what I was thinking. So you don't think that...
I think it'd all be in person. I don't think they would go into like comic book universe. Like it might be cool for like a blip, like they're like going through universes, like, whoa, what the heck?
And you told me something about that too.
Yeah, but like I think that if they were to make like a legit MCU film about it, I think it would be in person. But still, I think that would be cool if they were able to merge that, because you already have an Into the Spider-Verse movie that gives these characters build up.
Right.
So you don't really have to introduce them. Everyone already kind of knows it. Like, no one had to introduce Tobey Maguire. We all know who he is. He didn't need like a backstory. Hey, I'm Tobey Maguire. Uncle Ben died. Like, they kind of talked about it, but no one needed that. You know who he is. You know who Andrew Garfield is. So they could basically just pop on the screen. Everyone's like, yes, it's you. Like, we don't need to learn to love them. We already do.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'd be a similar thing where it's like, we don't need to learn about a new Miles Morales. We already have one. Just bring him in person and boom,
Right.
I think that'd be cool. So I don't know if that's how they're going to go about it, but if they do, I think that'd be an effective way.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, it's weird because I know there's going to be a generation in the future that just have no idea who Toby is.
They're not going to understand the hype.
Character. Like, or maybe not even know who Tom Holland is. There's going to be so many movies of like another Spider-Man. Yeah. But I think we can say that we were there.
Yeah.
We can tell our kids that we were there when that happened.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's I think it's just one of those films where there's like a certain time to be alive for it, where it's like it has a certain impact on you if you're born when it comes out. Because like people, it's kind of like watching the Star Wars films now. Because we were born after everyone knew I am your father.
Right.
Like
that's the iconic scene.
People basically said that in school all the time. So like by the time you actually watch them with your parents, it's exciting because you're like, oh, cool, lightsabers in space. But like, it doesn't grab you the same way you would if you were in the theater.
Like when it came out.
Like, and everyone's like, I'm your father. And then you just lose. God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like a different thing.
Yeah.
So I think that a lot of these Marvel films, especially this one in particular, like I think you can watch Homecoming anytime, Far From Home anytime. But this film, the way it incorporated all the previous Spider-Mans.
Right. This is a tie-in.
I feel like it's kind of a moment thing that just kind of happened.
Again, if you watch it by itself, it's good, but
it is. It does make it so much better
if you just understood.
Like the whole Daredevil scene. Had I watched Daredevil like you, bro, I probably would have had a way better reaction to it, but
stoked.
Yeah.
I really hope I trust them, but I mean, not that it matters, but I think you were saying, I hope they don't get too carried away with the multiverse and just start throwing in.
Yeah, well, because
Batman.
Oh yeah.
Superman.
Well, it was because when we were driving home from the theater, and I was like, I don't like you said, I don't want them to get too carried away to the point where, because when you start introducing a bunch of characters, you can't like undo that.
Yeah, you said that.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you can't if you start introducing a concept, you can't go back later and say, oh, we don't have the rights anymore, so we're just going to take away that concept. It never existed,
Right.
Because of some outside studio thing that happened that now affects the story. So I think it's best for them to, like, it was smart with Toby and Andrew, but I don't want them to get carried away to the point where let's just throw it all and like, hype it up and then get money and stuff. Like, I hope that they, and I really hope that they develop Tom Holland's character further from this, because what this ending did for me was like the end of Spider-Man Far From Home was a cliffhanger, and this one started right where that one left off, and that cliffhanger was like, what? And then you wanted to see what happened next.
Yeah.
This one I really want to see what happens next, because there's so much for him to do, He's basically starts the film a new person, kind of.
So you want to see where it goes
with a new life, how is he going to go about it,
there are already some titles out there that are released, like freshman year, that shows like everything that happened before he met Tony Stark. So yeah,
that's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But
if you had to make one silly like edit to the whole thing,
or
one silly, just any edit.
Bully Maguire, dude.
Okay.
Bully Maguire. I'm sorry. I would pick like.
It's okay.
I would pick like they're talking, and then just all three of them, and then just out of nowhere, Bully Maguire comes in, and then it's an interaction between normal Tobey Maguire and Bully Maguire.
But they're the same.
No, I know, but like from different times.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously the Tobey Maguire is a bit older now.
Yeah.
When we meet him, it's like because
he
talks about like events that happened before. So like if you just went back in time a little bit and like inserted that just Peter Parker, I think that'd be interesting. That'd be funny. It's like, can we get this guy out of here, please? I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
That's like such a meme. That's like dedicated only for meme culture.
It really is. But if I had to do a funny edit,
that one. Okay, I see that. For me, it would be like, when the sky was opening up and different people were starting to materialize. It would be cool.
I'm Batman.
Yeah, Batman's like, but I think it would be cool if just the general silly edit was if Cap was just like falling out of the sky, like just like as an old bitch, like
Yeah.
it falls on the shield. Or the super silly edit is if Lego Batman comes out of the sky.
Just not only DC, but also Lego DC.
No, just only Lego DC.
Just Lego DC. Gosh dang. I don't like that. But did they leave out any villains? Because I don't think that they did. Besides Venom.
No, I think I think they did that on purpose. But they're still developing Venom.
Yeah.
Because they know he's kind of like an anti-hero that they need to.
That's true.
Help the fans. Which is smart. I mean, why not even Vulture? Because they did Vulture already. Mysterio.
Isn't Vulture still just locked up? Like, when are they gonna bring him back? Because remember at the end of Homecoming, he has like a conversation with Scorpion or something.
Oh, Scorpion, and then they tease Morbius in the new trailer. There's that, but I don't know if that's the same.
Well, I saw the Morbius trailer,
right?
But
and
do you?
He's
in that film. Yeah,
but then that doesn't make sense because, or does it? Because that's the same universe as Venom. Because he says, "I'm Venom."
Wait. So,
or is that
does
the
that
same
mean that
Venom
it's
as
an
him?
alternate universe?
Is that an alternate universe of the other alternate universe? Because he says, "I am Venom," so he jokes around like knowing who Venom is. But is that the same Venom?
It
right?
must be, right?
Is
Yeah.
it?
It is. It is because remember he's like, we or something in the trailer. I'm probably misquoting it, but he's like, we haven't seen something like this since what happened in San Francisco.
Right. Okay. So that is the same one.
That is the same one, but that means that the Michael Keaton in it,
right.
the Vulture, that's a different Michael Keaton. That's I don't know.
Did they just accidentally forget
He's just
that?
Birdman.
But all the time he only has prison cameos.
He just got every universe he's in is incarcerated.
It's like, hey,
this poor man.
Man. Who never gets out of jail. He just talks to criminals like Punisher. He's like, hey, I like what you do. In every single universe, he's just in jail. He doesn't get out.
It sucks, dude. But Michael Keaton's a beast. I'd like to see him in more stuff.
Yeah. I think he's probably just a little annoyed that he only gets prison cameos, but
yeah, oh well.
That's cool. Hey, I mean, Harry Styles is in the universe now, so I mean,
that's so weird. I'm just
maybe he'll make a cameo.
I hope not. But yeah,
love that.
Cool,
dude. Alfred Bolina. And there's a universe where he's a bowl. Wouldn't that be cool?
Wait. Hold on.
This is so dumb. Are you searching it up? Yeah. Alfred Bolina. No way that's a real thing. Who has time to actually make...
Hold on.
No, see. Alfred Molina Bowl.
No.
Whoever comes up, I would love if they just came up with a Doc Ock, but as like a porcelain little bowl.
Look at this. 8 reasons why Dr. Octopus should absolutely not be in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh. Well, I think that's kind of dumb.
Yahoo, what is wrong with you?
Oh, Yahoo. I didn't even know that was a deal.
Let's look at the reasons. He died in Spider-Man 2. It's not fair to the other MCU villains. It's not fair to the other MCU villains who haven't been in MCU yet. Too many people have come back from the dead already. He's a what?
He's a what?
A lame villain. Even if he wasn't lame, he doesn't look like the comic book version.
Okay.
Dr. Octopus.
Someone's just a little bit mad.
Yeah. And finally, I don't want to hear him near Marissa. Oh, what? All right.
So, the thing is...
Okay, you know what? For the rest of this...
movie.
For the rest of this podcast, we're just going to have Alfred Molina right here.
Alfred Molina.
Yeah.
Green Goblin. How about... Green Boblin? This is Green Bob.
I don't even know anymore.
If I was a Marvel executive, what idea would you pitch me?
For what?
Anything. A new idea or anything.
Oh, that's a good question. I would, I think I was joking about this with, like, Nick or something like that. Like, what if when everything was opening up, just Jedi start falling out of the sky? It's just,
Yoda.
Yeah! I think it'd be Jedi with Marvel. That'd be kind of sick.
They've done that before.
When?
You remember in the original? Oh, I don't know if I told you. There's
I mean, I know that they have like the Death Star and like the Legos and stuff. That's a thing. But
Oh yeah, but that's I think they're teasing to the idea that in the very beginning, Lucasfilm and no, not even Lucasfilm or whoever made. I think maybe Lucasfilm because they made originally the
Star
very
Wars.
first one, right? Lucasfilm and Marvel they did crossover comic books in a few issues.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I
Or
mean like in film. But...
Was it that? Did they do crossover or was it Marvel? They produced Star Wars comic. One of those two.
You know what I would propose to Marvel? I would say all the money that you spent on Eternals, maybe spend that money on anything else.
I guess that was nice of them. I guess. I mean, think about it too. Well, don't even think.
No, I don't want to think.
I was gonna say too because there
man.
are people that are young. When we were younger, when Iron Man first came out, that's gonna be their new version. But then again, there weren't. I think Iron Man was the first Marvel movie.
Yeah, it was.
So.
Well, yeah, it was.
Right, it was.
Yeah, I'm thinking of Hulk, but no one counts that.
Oh yeah, Hulk.
Yeah. With Edward Norton.
Right. What happened to that?
I think Marvel just kind of swept it under, like, nah, this doesn't count.
Okay, but even so, Eternals, like, there's already like a long run of history before that.
Yeah.
So when people talk about, like when we're older, like, you watch the new Eternals movie, like,
no.
God, what do you do? My son's like, hey, Dad, can you take me to watch Eternals 6?
You're like, hey, let me show you this film called No Way Home. Like,
Can you take me to watch Eternals 6? Ultimately, even more Eternal. Like, no.
It's like Eternals, the Immortals.
I can't. Yeah. I wonder what their version of Endgame will be, like, down the line. Because I don't think anything will be as epic as this kind of era we're in right now, but
I'll say this.
There's still going to be big.
Like, I feel like Marvel ended with Endgame. No, I really do think, like, all of the movies afterwards, like, this is a good movie. Make no mistake, right? And there have been good movies since Endgame, but I don't think that overall it's necessarily heading towards anything as interesting or as epic, because that was the main story they were trying to tell, right? That was like the whole story of every Marvel movie up to Endgame was for Endgame. Now it's basically we're just making movies about whatever kind of superhero we feel like now and expounding upon other stuff, but I don't know if it's actually leading anywhere. It seems like it is, because like obviously like Shang-Chi and all of that, Wong comes to them at the end of the movie like, hey, we got stuff to do or something like that. And obviously they're doing things with like Loki and Wanda with like this whole multiverse crash or whatever and Doctor Strange. So like there's still
I see what you mean.
There's still interconnection, but it doesn't seem like it's as clear as a destination as it once was.
I mean, there are a few
because there's always been like this thing like at the end, like Thanos, he's there.
Right.
Thanos,
I mean,
he's there.
Even for Guardians of the Galaxy, though, there was like this. Remember, there's that post-credit scene about this gold man as a villain being teased, or whatever his name was. So I guess there are a few that
they're still doing it. What I'm saying is, but
ultimately, I see what you mean.
It's kind of like
the main thing.
That was like that was the main thing. I think they were basically putting those other ones as like safeguards.
Oh, like down the line.
Down the line, Basically, like, hey, why are you making these new movies? Endgame's done. It's like, well, there was just one thing, remember, that we didn't explain. We're gonna explain it now, And so, I think it's one of those, which true. I don't really have an issue with. I'm just saying that I'm not nearly as interested as I once was, with the exception of films like this. Like films like this, I'm like, heck yeah, because it's Spider-Man. I'm not gonna watch a Spider-Man film, but
yeah, for sure. I mean, the new one's coming out, Into Spider-Verse. I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, that was a great movie. That was actually one of my favorite Spider-Man films up until this one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Everyone's like, the makers are like, yeah, let's go on top, and then.
Yeah. Hey, I mean, it was Into the Spider-Verse is still a great movie.
Yeah.
It's so great.
I can't wait for the second one. Oh my gosh.
So much.
What else do we have to say about the Spider-Man movie?
I mean, there's probably plenty more we could say, but just watch it, dude.
Stanley.
Rest in peace.
Something Ditko, whatever. So the other guy that made Spider-Man, Ditko something.
Oh yeah. He was in the post-credit scenes.
Yeah, sorry,
bro. No one. I'm sorry, dude.
I feel bad saying that. Wherever
you ended up,
wherever you are, you made. I don't even think you guys realize how big this one character would be. Probably one of the most.
One of my favorite superheroes, if not my favorite. I mean,
I was gonna say the most favored hero.
I think he is.
I think so.
I mean, have you ever met anyone who didn't like Spider-Man? Because there are people who like Tony Stark. There are people who don't. There are people who like Captain America. There are people who don't. Have you ever met someone who just didn't like Spider-Man?
I don't. I mean, jeez, I don't. That's hard.
That'd be
Maybe
hard.
It's just because of the people I'm friends with.
Yeah.
Just because.
Like if you don't like Spider-Man, you're not my friend.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because I guess he's relatable, right? He's a young man.
Yeah,
we're not billionaires.
Not only that, but he's also living a life where things are constantly like he's always juggling things. He never has enough time. He just feels like a very relatable. He feels the most human of all the superheroes, you know?
Yeah.
Like the human aspect of Spider-Man is strong, you know? The human aspect of like, you know, Batman, Iron Man, Captain America, Hawkeye even, you know? Like Hawkeye is supposed to be like this normal dude. But even still, I mean.
He has his own show and he's still going.
Yeah, he's still going. Dude, Hawkeye, just die, dude. Just die.
It's cool. I just noticed how like their outfits, like as they go on, they
get more
just
comic
different.
book accurate.
Yeah, it's not exactly, which is good.
Yeah, it's probably really good.
Kind of weird, but even Electro, but it's like their own take.
Well, like, did you see like Electro, like the lightning around his face made the original kind of? I was like that's a cool way to do it, right? Like if I were the creative artist behind that, that's probably the same thing I would do. Like, he's not gonna have like a plate mask that's like the shape.
Like green, bright, like green and yellow. And they're neon, like.
Yeah, but like, it makes like. I feel like just when Marvel gets their hands on Marvel characters, they do it justice. When Sony's like, "Hey, let's make a Marvel film, guys," they're just like.
Well, I mean, now they're gonna be like a new Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a bunch of stuff, and I can't. It's rumored that because there's the Avengers Tower, and it's rumored that they bought the building for the Baxter Tower, which is the tower for the Fantastic Four.
Right. So many towers.
Yeah, but nothing. I think there's only one movie that I think will be way more hyped up and more exciting than Endgame and No Way Home.
Dang.
The one movie I'm excited that has one of our favorite characters from the MCU, and that is Buzz Lightyear, the movie featuring Chris. What's his name? The play Captain America.
Oh, Chris Evans, yeah.
Chris Evans playing the voice of Buzz Lightyear. Everybody knows the most hyped film of the century. Everybody knows this would be way better, and I'm way more excited for Buzz Lightyear than I am for No Way Home.
So the verse of the day is
it's to infinity and beyond. I'm so hyped.
I mean,
don't spoil anything.
It's
supposed to make a cameo.
It's Toy Story. It's Toy Story, dude. I'm sorry.
Not Buzz Lightyear. I mean Lightyear. The movie's called Lightyear.
Yeah, I know, but it's Toy Story.
Wait, I hope the green aliens are future. Don't spoil anything.
Yeah, it's Toy Story. Man. That's all it is.
I'm just gonna, before you say that, I'm predicting this is going to be the most hyped event of the century.
Okay.
If there's someone out there that says I'm more excited for Lightyear.
Well, you also like Jar Jar Binks.
Oh, I can't wait for the Jar Jar Binks movie to come out.
The Sith Lord version.
Yes.
What if Lucas like uploaded a director's cut of the prequels, and it's just a completely different story of like Jar Jar just becoming like a Sith?
Yeah, that's way more hype too. Lightyear and Jar Jar. Let's go.
All right.
Get to it. But I'm just saying Lightyear is going to be wild.
Well, I guess we'll do a review on that when that comes out. But we don't do reviews. All right. So verse of the day for today is going to be in the book of Proverbs. And that's going to be Proverbs 16:32. And it says, He that is slow to anger is better than He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty, and he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh the city. Essentially saying that the people who are able to essentially keep their calm and are, I guess, have control over themselves under pressure, can be slow to anger, aren't quick to, jump on things,
That's
and
good. Think before they do.
And people who have, what this says, obviously rules over his own spirit, you have self-control, Someone who has self-control is someone who's better than someone who takes a city, conquers it. Someone who is slow to anger is better than a mighty man, who has great strength. Yeah. Which, not to say that some of those things, like having great strength and the ability to conquer, aren't necessarily bad things, but it's also better when you have internal rule over yourself,
right, than
trying to impose a rule over someone else when you can't even rule yourself. Wow. So there you go.
That's deep, Adrian. Well, good verse, and it's a nod to No Way Home when before Tom should kill, what's his name? Willem Dafoe. Willem. I know.
I get confused.
Willem.
I remember at the credits you were like, "It's Willem."
Yeah. What the heck? He changed his name. Willem.
It's not William. It's like, no.
Think before you kill. Basically.
That's Amen, dude. Think before you kill. All right. Well, you heard it here first.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you guys
I love
for
this
watching.
episode.
It's great.
Comment down below hype for the buzz for the new Lightyear movie. Adrian and I are going to be there. I know it only comes out on Disney Plus, but find out when it comes out. Yeah, when does it come up? Buzz Lightyear.
No, I'm just looking at pictures of Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, can you find out when it comes out?
What is this thing?
Oh, what is that? Can you find out Lightyear release date? Lightyear comes out. Lightyear. It comes. Adrian, it comes out. Just type release. Mate, stop making it so gosh darn.
June 17th.
Oh, May. That's after May. That's what, in summer?
Yes.
Gosh. Well, I mean, a summer event. I can't wait to go to Lightyear. Whether if that's with myself and
it'll be with yourself
and me. You know what? If any lady out there is lucky enough to go to Lightyear, or if you want to go, let me know.
Hey, I mean, or
Adrian. I know I'm going to take Adrian's.
Our audience is predominantly female, so there's a good chance.
So, oh wait, it only comes out on Disney Plus. I'm not saying.
What is this?
Oh,
look at this.
Well, we're not going to dive into the concept art right now. Thank you guys for tuning in on our thoughts on such a great movie. Shout out to my favorite person on social media right now that does in kind of like not crazy in-depth analysis of film and stuff.
The Taylor guy?
Taylor Wayne Hitchcock. Right.
Got it.
Taylor. My man Taylor, pop culture and movies. Check him out.
And check out No Way Home.
And yes!
Go to the theaters and watch that.
Get out of here right now and go watch that
And
movie.
if you've already seen it, watch it again. I did it. It's great. It's actually better the second time. I can verify that.
It will always be better every time you watch it.
Yeah.
I can't wait when I'm an old man and I have... was it when you forget dementia?
Oh, Alzheimer's?
Is it that? Or the where I just forget things on a daily basis and I watch No Way Home every
short-term memory
day.
loss?
Something like that. Like, what? Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. Oh.